combating nutrition disinformation and general bull. It's Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Instagram Live. And we're here with another episode of Jimmy Rants. And if you're brand new to the show, what we do here is we talk about nutritional health, mindset, all kinds of things. But it all starts off, you guys, at JimmyRants.com. So go follow me there. You'll see that we start off on Instagram. So you can go follow me on Instagram at Livin' Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. And once you're there, you can follow just like Sesquilin, Bishop, Keto Coach Lauren, what's up Lauren, Bonnie Lene, and all the usual suspects that come in early. Then if you missed the live, then you can actually watch it on replay for up to 24 hours. Then we pop it over onto YouTube so that you can watch all the past episodes. So go look up Jimmy Rants on YouTube. And then finally, the Jimmy Rants podcast on Apple Podcasts. Go type in Jimmy Rants and you'll find this show, my mouth's wide open. And you can see the logo for it. Go listen to that show, JimmyRants.com. Today's Jimmy Rants is a practical one, you guys, because we're at the time of year where people are ready to make a resolution to do something in their life. And for a lot of people, that's changing their diet and then tracking their progress in their pursuit of weight loss by stepping on a scale. All right. Those of you that follow me and have been watching these Jimmy Rants from the very beginning, you know how I feel about the scale. What is the phrase I like to use about the scale? Somebody write it out real quick. I'm going to give you 10 seconds. Somebody type in, what is that phrase Jimmy Moore likes to use when it comes to the scale? Because the scale is somebody, it's going to happen. Somebody's going to write it in. The scale is Mitzi got it. Mitzi knows me well. It's a lying liar that lies. And Kitty Caddick said, slam it. Yes, that as well. I'll take a sledgehammer to it. But yes, it is the lying liar that lies and doesn't give you the whole picture when it comes to how you are doing in your journey of keto. Okay? And Ketoneogenesis says it's just a measure of gravitational force, which is true. That is all it does. It measures your level of gravity on Earth. That's it. Now, does that mean weight means nothing? No, don't misunderstand me. Weight does mean something, and people often criticize me because I'm critical of the scale. That, well, you're just trying to tell people that the scale doesn't matter at all. I have never said the scale doesn't matter at all. I'm just saying it's an incomplete number, an incomplete picture. It's not a good tool for tracking your keto progress like everybody thinks it is. And yet everybody steps on that stupid scale all the time. So in this Jimmy Rants, we're getting practical for you because I want to give you 4 tools that are better than the scale for tracking your keto progress. Who wants to hear about this? Okay. 4 tools. So let's start with number 1. And this is one I've been talking about for many, many years. If everybody just used this tool, they would probably not eat as many carbohydrates as they do. They would probably make changes in their diet sooner than later. But when you don't use this tool, you don't know what's going on. What is the tool? A blood glucose monitor. Blood glucose? Jimmy, I'm not a type 2 diabetic. I don't have to test my blood sugar. No. Yes, you should. You should be testing your blood sugar on a regular basis. So if you've never tested blood sugar, it's as easy. There's a Walgreens right behind me over here. There's a Walmart over there. There's a Rite Aid over there. There's a CVS over there. They're everywhere. You can get a blood glucose monitor very easily. So grab one of the monitors. It doesn't matter what monitor to start. Yes, there are some that are better than others, but just start with a monitor just to track your progress in your blood glucose, because knowledge is power. If you think you can have sweet potatoes and they don't bother you because you, quote, don't lose weight when you eat them, what is it doing to your blood glucose, though? Now, blood glucose is not insulin, so don't think, oh, I'm going to measure my insulin levels. There is no at-home insulin test. That's coming, but it's many years down the road. Right now, though, you can test your blood sugar, and you should fall within a range of about 60 to 100 if you're keto, okay? Sometimes some people will have a little bit higher in the morning. We've talked about this whole thing of glucose-sparing effect in the morning. But in general, most people will fall between 60 and 100 on the blood glucose if they're eating properly on their ketogenic diet. So if you're just joining us, we are talking about 4 tools that are better than the scale for tracking your keto progress. And tool number 1 is getting a blood glucose monitor and testing your blood sugar, okay? Number 2 tool that you should be using to track your keto progress. Don't you want to know if you're actually in ketosis? Don't you want to know if you're actually in fat burning mode where you're making ketones, the ketones being the byproduct of the fat burning mode? Don't you want to know? Well, the only way you can know is if you test for ketosis. So there's a variety of ways you can test. A lot of people like those pee strips where you, it's the ketone testing strips that you pee on and they turn pink to purple to whatever. That's an okay way when you first start, because if you're just starting off, you want to see, am I spilling any ketones at all? So it will show you that. That measures a ketone in the urine called acetoacetate. But the thing is, acetoacetate doesn't hang around. If you get fully keto adapted, acetoacetate in the urine, which is the ketone body in the urine, actually gets converted over into the usable form in the blood called beta-hydroxybutyrate. Now, I know I'm throwing some funky monkey terms at you, but stick with me. Beta-hydroxybutyrate is that ketone body that's in the blood that is actively used for energy and fuel and satiety and all the things that you love about being in ketosis. So that's a good thing that they disappear from the acetoacetate and get converted into beta-hydroxybutyrate, okay? So you want to be testing something that's accurate, and the most accurate gold standard way to test for ketosis is in the blood. And there's a great meter called Keto Mojo. If you haven't found that one yet, go look it up online, Keto Mojo. It actually can test blood sugar as well with a separate strip if you want to get the Keto Mojo meter. But get the Keto Mojo meter and blood ketone testing strips, and you can test where you stand in nutritional ketosis. Okay? There is another way you can test for ketosis in the body. It's in the breath. And right now there are a few companies making meters and things like that. The most prominent and longest standing one is the Ketonics company. And guys, if you have not gotten the Ketonics Bluetooth, that thing is cool. It matches up with your phone and gives you a reading right on the screen that you can test for the level of acetone in the breath. So that's the ketone body in the breath. And there's several studies that show correlations between acetone, ketone in the breath and beta-hydroxybutyrate in the blood. It's not an exact correlation, but it's pretty close. So Ketonics was the first one. There's been several that have come since then. There was one I found out about in 2018 called Level, L-E-V-L. And it's pretty darn cool, but it's very expensive as well. So be aware of that. And there's a new one that I saw have a crowdsourcing campaign called Keto, K-E-Y-T-O. And so you can test using that one. I'll be getting one of those very soon in January. I'm supposed to get one, and I'll test it out and let you guys know how it is. But the second way to use a tool that's better than the scale for tracking your keto progress is test for ketosis. So test in some way so that you know that you're actually burning ketones, okay? The third test that is much better than the scale for tracking your keto progress is wearing some kind of a device that lets you know how your sleep has done, okay? So Fitbit's been out there for many years. There's various little wearable technologies around your wrist that lets you track it. The Apple Watch, I don't know that it tracks sleep, but it has various little things as well. But I have found the best way to track my sleep, which gives me all 4 stages of sleep, and how long I was in them, and if I got up to go to the bathroom, it shows that I got up and all that, is this little thing right here, okay? So that is an Oura Ring, and if you want to learn more about the Oura Ring, go to biohackingring.com, but I've been using this bad boy right at 2 years now, and I test it, I basically wear it every day, and while I sleep, it tracks respirations and body temperature and all kinds of things. The technology that we have at our fingertips these days, you guys, you'd be silly not to be using it to help better your health. So the third tool is track your sleep. Now you might be wondering, how in the world does sleep correlate with a ketogenic progress? Well, guess what? If your sleep is out of whack and you're not optimizing your sleep and you're not able to recover from the day's activities when you're sleeping, if you're under a lot of stress and that's impacting your sleep, guess what it's also going to impact? It's going to impact your weight. It's going to impact your ability to get into a state of ketosis. It's going to impact your blood sugar and insulin levels. It has negative ramifications. So don't you want to know how you're doing in your sleep? That's why I wear the biohacking ring, because I want to know how I'm doing in my sleep. All right, so if you're just joining us, we are talking about 4 tools that are better than the scale for tracking your keto progress. And number 1 was a blood glucose monitor. Number 2 is a blood or breath ketone monitor. Number 3 is some sort of wearable device to help you track how your sleep is. And the 4th one, you guys, is going to surprise you. You ready? The 4th tool that is better than the scale for tracking your keto progress, right there. Your eyes, your observations, what you see happening in yourself, how you feel. All of these things are important. And I think sometimes we forget about the eye test. Because people will write me emails and they'll say, oh, well, I am feeling great. I've had more energy than I ever have. I'm able to play with my kids again. I'm doing things I never thought I could do. I feel great, full of energy, mental clarity, all of these great benefits. But I'm only lost 5 pounds. And I always want to slap these people upside the head and go, what? What? Okay, so what? You only lost 5 pounds. Maybe you didn't need to lose weight yet. Maybe what you needed was to heal the body from the inside and get all those benefits you just ticked off to me that people take drugs for to try to give them those benefits, and yet you're getting them from real whole foods in a ketogenic state. So the 4th tool is pay attention with your eyes of what's going on in your body. Because you know how you feel. You know when you wake up in the morning if you feel better than you did before keto, right? So if it passes the eye test, then you should count that as progress. And you should use that as tracking how you're doing, okay? Now, again, I know that's subjective, the eye test. It's not a hard number like blood sugar and blood glucose and tracking your sleep and all this stuff, but it is an important number, much more so than whatever that lying liar that lies scale happens to tell you. All right, I want to see what you guys have to say about my 4 tools that are much better than the scale for tracking your progress. Hello, good morning, you guys. Thanks for being here. Lots of people here today. Thank you for that. Jumping for keto. What's up, girl? Love this topic. It has so many moving parts. It really does. It really does. Kitty Caddick says, unless you couldn't care less about what the scale says, don't ever step on it. My husband, for some reason, likes to step on it every morning. It's just a number and a curiosity thing for him. Yeah, I'm like your husband, Kat, because I used to be a scale fiend. I didn't let it make me go up or down. I just liked getting on there just to see what it was. I got over that, by the way, when I realized it wasn't giving me the complete picture of what I was looking for in my health, not near to the point of blood glucose, blood ketones, tracking my sleep, and the eyeball test. Amy Marm Brewster says, since I bought the Keto Mojo, what a game changer. It's highly recommended. Yeah, it's probably the go-to way to test your blood ketones. It's much cheaper than the older versions. When I first started testing nutritional ketosis in 2012, the only thing they had was this meter from a company called Abbott, called Precision Extra. And the meter was about $25, $30, but then the strips were $5 to $6 a piece. Now, all you new people to keto, you get the benefit of the popularity of it with companies like Keto Mojo stepping up, making a meter that's about $15 to $20, and the strips are right around a little more than $1 a piece. So you really are getting a good deal. It's a good time to be keto. Mitzi says, is it my imagination? Sometimes my urine smells like acetone. It's probably your imagination because there are various things that will make your urine smell funky. I don't think it's acetone, though. Asparagus, maybe. Barbecue. Anybody else smell your urine really strong when you eat asparagus or barbecue? Maybe it's just me. Kitty Caddick said, I'm waiting on the Apple Watch with continuous ketone meter. Blood sugar is cool, but I want both. And with keto growing that fast and big, I think we can expect it. Yeah, they're already really close, Kat, on the blood glucose ability. The new Apple Watch, which I got, me and Christine, the version 4, has an ECG on it, so we're able to kind of see what's going on with the heart, although it does drain the battery really fast when you're running the ECG. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the blood glucose feature on that, and of course, blood ketone cannot be far behind. Lilla Grand, is it a bad sign that urine strips still show a lot of ketones after a year on keto? No, they don't always disappear completely in everyone. I've never completely lost my urine ketones. So people freak out when they hear me say, well, it converts from acetoacetate into beta-hydroxybutyrate. And yet that's for most people, it happens completely. Others of us, we still show ketones in both the urine and the blood. So I think that's why you want to test blood, because it gives you the whole picture of what's going on at the end. And people get so confused when urine disappears, and they're one of those people that all of the acetoacetate gets converted into beta-hydroxybutyrate, and they're, oh no, what have I done wrong? When they've done nothing wrong. Test the blood and you can't go wrong. I track my sleep on my Fitbit watch. It's great. Thank you, Bonnie Lene. All right, so we're talking about the 4 tools that are better than the scale for tracking your keto progress. So, Gerald, I can't answer that question because it's not on topic. Amy says people don't realize how important sleep is. Yeah, I think it's becoming more and more important as devices like the biohackingring.com that I have there come on board, and they realize the correlation between, oh my gosh, my sleep was amazing last night, that's why I feel so energetic, or oh my goodness, that was a sucky night's sleep, and you feel it the next day because you have quantifiable data that shows you what's going on. Very true. Go by how you feel. Yes, Gerald. That's why I made that the 4th one. If you're just joining us, 4 tools that are better than the scale for tracking your keto progress: blood glucose monitor, a ketone monitor, either blood or breath, a tracking device for seeing how your sleep is doing, whether it's a Fitbit or a Ring or whatever you use to track. And then the last one is the eyeball test. How do you feel? How are things going in your world? Do you feel better now than you did pre-keto? Keto Neogenesis says you could include number 5 being a measuring tape. Yeah, a measuring tape will show you like waist to hip ratio and some other valuable data. But again, I think it puts the focus too much so on weight and how your body is contoured. I would much rather see various biomarkers, because that's what's going on in the inside. And if you get those biomarkers in line, then that the measuring tape and the scale should both fall into line thereafter. Mitzi says, I take lots of pictures in my underwear, LOL. No TMI alert on that one, Mitzi. Penny says, my belt has been a great tool as well. Feels great when I can go tighter. Yep. Select Savory Seasonings. Welcome, guys. No inflammation is one of my whys for going keto. My clothes fit better, and that helps too. Always. Always, always. How do you feel about using macros tracking apps? Well, DebZZ2460, if you follow my Jimmy Rants for any period of time, you know that I hate macronutrient ratios. I think they're a trap. They get people into trouble of trying to hit some arbitrary macronutrient ratio number. Oh, I haven't hit my macros yet, so I need to eat a stick of butter to get my fat up. I'm not a fan of that. I think that's stupid. But if you want to use an app that will help you track how you're doing, I think that's completely fine. But just know that macro tracking is not the be-all, end-all on keto. The scale can be addictive, says Bonnie Lene. It can, and some people even allow it to affect their emotions and how they're feeling about how they're doing. That's no bueno. If that's you, get off the stupid scale, the lying liar that lies, and go to these 4 tools that I've talked about here today. Ashton says, yes, I get the asparagus smell. It's pretty rank, isn't it? Bonnie Lene, when I don't drink enough water, then my urine is stronger smelling. Then I don't know I didn't drink enough water. Exactly. Hello, Leanne Vogel. Thanks for being here. Lori says, I thought about a mojo, but I'd be afraid of obsessing and stressing about it. Kind of like the scale, analysis by paralysis or paralysis by analysis, just sticking to diet for me. Well, Lori, that's great. I do think there is value. If you don't do it on a regular basis, that's fine. I get the obsession about it, that it could paralyze you, but right now you're shooting blind. Right now you have no idea how you're doing on your ketogenic pursuit because you're not testing for ketosis. That's the one that gets me the most, you guys. When I get questions for keto talk or just general questions to me in my email box, people will say, well, I've been ketogenic for XYZ amount of time and I'm not losing weight and I'm not, my blood sugar's gone crazy. Blah, blah, blah. And then I always say, what's your blood ketones? Well, I'm not testing for ketosis. Well, how do you know whether or not you're in ketosis? There's no way of knowing. So you have to test. At least on occasion, just take a peek in and see how you're doing. That's what brought me into nutritional ketosis, was when I decided to test this for myself and started using that Precision Extra monitor in 2012. And I tested my blood ketones for the very first time, and they were 0.3, and I'd been low carb at that point for about 7 or 8 years. 7 or 8 years, and I was not in ketosis, not a therapeutic level of it anyway. And so I think it will open your eyes to maybe, if you're having issues, help you dial it in just a little bit. Now, if you're doing great and you feel great and you're worried about obsessing about it, then you're right. Stay away from the meter. But if you start to run into issues, maybe peeking in on your blood sugar and your blood ketones could be the answer. Hello, Lindy. Thanks for being here. Hello, Steph. Wow, you're early. No, this is about the normal time that I usually get up and do these Jimmy Rants. Amy says, I'm going carnivore in January. Kind of excited. Seems that keto leads to carnivore. I, too, will be doing carnivore in the month of January. So I'm pretty close to that anyway. And yeah, you're right, Amy. If you're already keto, carnivore is just a lateral move. You just remove the vegetation and you're carnivore. I think I will only worry about counting carbs and not so much anything else. Deb. Yeah, be careful also with protein. You want to make sure you don't overdo it on the protein. But in general, you're right. Just keep the carbs low, and then the protein and fat, as long as you're choosing fattier cuts of proteins, will tend to keep you in ketosis. Is there a best time to test for ketones? Just test in the morning. It's going to tend to be your lowest reading of the day, and then test 4 hours after your final meal of the day at night, and that will tend to be your highest reading of the day. When I tested morning and night, and sometimes every hour on the hour during my nutritional ketosis testing in 2012, 2013, I almost invariably saw double ketone reading that I had in the morning when I tested at night. So if in the morning it was 0.6, at night it was around 1.2. It was almost like clockwork that I saw that doubling of ketones in the blood from the morning time to the nighttime. And my theory is that because the cortisol that helps wake you up in the morning raises your blood glucose, it's that raising of the blood glucose that dampens down the ketones just a bit in the morning. It's totally fine. It's cool. But just know that that's what happens. What did you change to get yourself from a 0.3 and into nutritional ketosis? Well, Lexi Bell, I don't want to rob you of the thrill of reading my book, Keto Clarity, where I told the whole story all about it. But in short, minimize the carbohydrates, making sure that I stuck with total carbohydrates as my source of counting. I also moderated down on the protein, which was a big deal of making sure I wasn't eating chicken breast. Chicken breast is not a food, by the way, guys. It's horrible. Don't eat chicken breast. It's all protein. You want fattier cuts of proteins. And so I started eating those, and then enough fat to be satiated, not fearing the fat raising my cholesterol, giving me heart disease. When I did those things and I started tracking, I very quickly got up in the ketones. All right, guys, so the bottom line in this Jimmy Rants is there are much better tools for tracking your keto progress than that stupid scale, okay? So I'll recap one more time. Blood glucose meter, go get you one down at the drugstore. Everybody has them now. Blood ketone or breath ketone meter, I recommend for blood the Keto Mojo, for breath the Ketonics or this new Keto, K-E-Y-T-O, that's coming out on a crowdsourcing campaign. Number 3 is some kind of tracking device for your sleep, whether it's a Fitbit. I wear this biohackingring.com, which helps to track my sleep. And then finally, the eye test. How do you feel? What do things look like in your life now since you've gone keto compared to before keto? And when you do all of those 4 things, you guys, you're getting such valuable information that you're simply not going to get from that lying liar that lies scale. All right, guys, that's it for this Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website, and we start off over on Instagram Live. Lots of interaction from the peeps down there today, so thank you for that, you guys. At Livin' Low Carb Man is my moniker there, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. And then if you missed the live, you can watch the replay for up to 24 hours, so go follow me at Instagram. But if you're not Instagrammy, hop over to YouTube and you can see all the archived episodes of Jimmy Rants there. Just type in a keyword, Jimmy Rants, you will find the show. And then finally, a Jimmy Rants podcast, which has highlights of the best moments from this here show, JimmyRants.com. So until next time, we'll see you then.